"What should I do?" Peter asked as he walked back to the military base with the other two. "We'll follow along as far as we can go. Just agree to whatever they ask of you for now, and we can figure it out later," Vorden said. Just then, as they were about to exit the forest, Vorden suggested that Peter walk up ahead while they followed him from behind. "Peter, I'm taking my chances with you this time. I have forgiven you. It doesn't mean I trust you. Not yet, or maybe ever." Layla nudged Vorden in the ribs. "Give the guy a break, will you?" she whispered. She gave Peter an encouraging smile. However, Vorden was dead serious. They had finally arrived at the second-year building. From this point on, Vorden and Layla could no longer follow. Peter entered the building and walked into Duke's office. "Please, come and sit down, Peter," Duke said. "It seems the two of us haven't been able to talk since the last task I had set for you." Duke then went under his desk and pulled out several books and placed them on the table. There were 3 Earth ability books numbered from 2 up to 4. "Although things didn't go quite according to plan, you still held up your end of the bargain, and I don't want to seem like a person who doesn't keep his promises," he said, smiling. If Peter didn't notice it before, he could notice it now. There was something sinister about Duke's smile. Just why was he trying so hard to get rid of Vorden in the first place? Peter thought. Isn't everyone on the same side to fight against the Dalki? "Thank you, sir. Is there anything else you would like me to do?" Peter asked. "We have a visitor next week, and I'm going to need you to learn the Earth ability up to level 4. In a couple of weeks, come back and report to me. You're dismissed." Peter then bowed down to the general before leaving the room. "Looks like I've been able to convert another one. In the end, everyone wants to be at the top," the Duke thought. As Peter left the room, he spotted Earl waiting just outside to be called in. "What are you looking at, dog?" he snapped back. Earl still hadn't recovered from what Vorden had done to him before the outing. Hearing those words and seeing Earl again, sudden images started to appear in his head. Unpleasant images. Very unpleasant. "Hey, I know. Why don't you wait for me out back after this? I and the boys have a little surprise for you," Earl said. "Whatever you say, Earl," Peter replied, secretly smiling on the inside. While the others were busy doing their own thing, Erin had eventually calmed down from it all. When she thought back to the image of the Dalki, her body started to shiver uncontrollably. "Calm down, Erin. Deep breaths," she thought to herself. While she was fine with keeping Quinn's identity a secret, she was nervous about covering her own back and curious to see just how dangerous this vampire thing was. Eventually, that led her to the library. At first, Erin went down the non-fiction aisle to see if there was anything she could find, but there was nothing. There were no vampires, and there didn't seem to be anything close to describing them in the first place. This left her no choice but to head to the fiction section, and nearly instantly she found several novels about vampires. But just from looking at the covers, she found it hard to tell what vampires were. Vampire the Last Blood, Bite Me or Love Me, Thicker Than Blood. Erin decided to just pick up one of the books at random. She picked up the book titled Bite Me or Love Me. She stood there in the aisle and started reading it. "So, you're interested in vampires, huh?" a boy's voice said, coming from her left side. As she turned her head to see who it was, "I didn't expect to see a beautiful girl like you here," the boy said as he swept back his black hair. "The name's Fex. Nice to meet you." Outside the second-year building, out in the open field, Layla and Vorden were still patiently waiting. Peter had gone in a while ago, but now they started to wonder what was taking him so long. They concluded that it wasn't likely that Peter was going to come out anytime soon. They had a feeling something might have happened. With that in mind, the two of them decided to stop waiting out front and started to head around the back. There was no entrance to get into the school from the back, but perhaps they could find some other entrance, either by climbing some walls or through some other means. When they got around to the back side of the building, they could see another student standing guard there. Using Layla's powers, they both lifted a couple of stones and threw them to distract the student. "Are you ready?" Layla asked with a smile. She couldn't believe she was having fun sneaking around and causing trouble, and with Vorden of all people. "As I thought, you do look a little cute when you're smiling," Vorden said in response. Peter was patiently waiting outside the place where he had suggested. Hey, Peter, it's been a while, hasn't it?" Earl said as he walked closer before, adding, "You know, lately, Duke has been blaming me for all of the failed attempts against Vorden, so I haven't been getting any rewards. How are you going to solve that for me?" While walking closer to Peter, Earl looked at what was in Peter's hands, which were the level 2, 3, and 4 Earth ability books. Although Earl was already a level 4 Earth user and had no need for the books himself, he could always sell them on the market to earn some money. "Hand them over, you piece of crap," Earl said as he slapped Peter across the face, leaving a red mark. Peter looked at the mark on his face. Usually, in a situation like this, his hands would be shaking. Earl then proceeded to kick Peter in the stomach before grabbing him by the collar and throwing him onto the ground. Peter was now in a space between two buildings, namely the second-year building and one of the storage rooms. It was a place that was quite dark, and unless someone purposely went around the back to find them, no one would find out. "Well then, isn't this a quiet little place for the two of us to carry on our usual business?" Earl asked with a smile. Peter then stood up and responded with a smile, "Indeed it is." After distracting the students who were standing by the side of the building using the floating stones, they were able to gradually make their way towards the back of the second-year building without being seen. "Come on, let's keep looking," Layla said. "There must be some way to get into the school. Maybe there's a pipe or something we can use to climb up to the windows." "You have been watching way too many martial arts movies," Layla said. Still, they decided to check it out now that they were here anyway. As they made their way to the space between the two buildings, certain cracking and gobbling noises were made, as if some type of wild dog was wolfing down its meal. Finally, they turned the corner, only to see Peter there. However, he wasn't alone. His hands and mouth were covered in blood, while a dead body wearing a student's uniform laid in front of him. The student's body had parts of its limbs torn off. Also, some bones with little bits of flesh still attached could be seen, and they looked as if someone had hungrily ripped the meat right off the bone. "Peter?" Layla said. "What have you done?" The VIP dorm rooms of the first-year building were on the 3rd floor. Quinn had decided to head here to meet someone. At first, Quinn knocked on the door, but there seemed to be no answer. When trying to push the door open, he was surprised to see that it wasn't locked nor shut properly. "Hello?" Quinn asked as he crept into the room. Just at the other end of the room, he could see Logan in his chair. He had some sort of metallic tool glove in his right hand, while a giant pair of goggles seemed to be hovering over his eyes. "Oh, he was just busy as usual," Quinn thought to himself. Quinn then started to look around the room at all the gadgets around him. He knew when Logan was in his concentration mode, no matter what you did, you wouldn't get his attention. But as Quinn was looking around, he spotted a strange object on one of the shelves. It stood out compared to the rest, because most of the things in the room seemed to be covered in dust, but not this one. It was a square-shaped device no bigger than a laptop, and on the top, it seemed to have some type of digital display. Inspect. A return portal device. When the correct access code has been entered, it will return you to the destination that has been preset. Creator, Richard Eno. Quinn moved in to take a closer look. It seemed to be the only item that wasn't made by Logan, and on top of that, it was a teleporter, but it was one that he had never seen before. The portal teleporters they currently carried were quite large devices, but this one was small and compact, as if the technology was ahead of their current time. Quinn reached out to grab it, but just then a voice from behind spoke to him. "Hey, if you want to get your fingers blown off, then please be my guest. Carry on and touch it," Logan said sarcastically. His seat was turned around, and he was staring at Quinn. "Then again, I would love to see whose ability is stronger, mine or yours," he continued. "Sorry about that," Quinn said as he pulled back his hand. "It looks kind of interesting. What is it exactly?" When Quinn finished talking, the robotic gauntlet that was one of Logan's hands started to break down. It appeared to break into smaller parts until they looked like little bugs. Then, the bugs went over to where Quinn was. They grabbed the case and brought it over to Logan. "The thing has been the bane of me and my family's life," Logan said, looking around it. "As you know, my family are originals who hid their abilities from the world. Before the war started, they were researchers who worked privately for different corporations, sometimes even governments, different armies, and all sorts of companies. Anyway, on one of their trips around 50 years ago, they discovered this device. At the time, no one knew what it was, and it seemed like our ability didn't work on it either. Of course, my family tried to research it, and eventually, when we discovered the Dalki technology, we found similarities between this and the Dalki technology. It appears to be some type of teleporter, but the question is, Why would Dalki technology exist on Earth before they even arrived? Then that just brings us even more questions. Why did the Dalki attack us? Were they here before? But did we just never know about it? Hearing all of these questions were causing Quinn to think about it. Anyway, Logan said, it's not like I'm expecting you to know any of these answers. The one thing we do know is whoever was able to create a compact teleporter such as this is a genius. Oh, how I wish I could meet him one day. Wait, what did you say? Quinn replied. Did you say you don't know who created it? Of course I don't. If I did, my family and I would have been chasing him for generations. This made Quinn sink even deeper in thought. Richard Eno was a well-known scientist, the person who had discovered not only the power of beast crystals, but also how the Dalki portals worked. Could he have known everything all along? Right now, though, this was too big of a problem to solve, especially for someone like him. He was just one person in this whole thing, and he had his problems to deal with. Anyway, Logan said, what did you visit me here for? Did you want to play the game again? Actually, Quinn said, I was wondering if you could help me make a suit. Well, it seems you've come to the right person, said Logan. I can design you one myself. Really? Quinn asked, surprised. Of course, it will be easier than making some of my other contraptions, he said, smiling. The two of them then sat down together. The crystals were placed in a seemingly special container while they were going through some type of melting process. On top of Logan's desk, a large metal sheet was placed. Logan then placed his hand on the sheet and closed his eyes. Just like with the gauntlet before, the metal started to break down and move, eventually turning into little metal bugs again. The metal bugs started to form a human figure until it molded something that vaguely resembled Quinn. The two of them continued to go through the design process, altering what the metal model looked like. Each time Quinn would give a suggestion, the robots would move in place. There was not much that could be done with the suit. It had to be black in color and skin fit tight. However, the mask could be altered greatly. When using the outfit and mask, Quinn wanted to strike fear into his opponent's hearts. He wanted something quite scary looking. They went through several designs until it was finally done. It's amazing, Quinn said as he walked over to it and started to stroke the model. The black suit was skin tight, but had a scaled pattern like that of a snake throughout its entire surface. However, there were a few design touches added to it from Logan that Quinn hadn't asked for. Do you like the additions that I made? Logan asked. On the forearms going up to the shoulder, 3 red claw-like marks could be seen on both sides. Although it looked nice, Quinn was hoping for the suit to be all black. If he was also to use this at night, he probably would have been seen. Nevertheless, when he looked at Logan's bags and his tired face, he found it hard to say no. It's great, Quinn replied. Now, I do have to warn you, although expensive metals were used when making this, there is a limit to how much it can endure, Logan explained. They were only basic tier crystals after all. It will fare well against intermediate weapons, but anything stronger than that and it will tear apart. Quinn made sure to make a note of that since it would be the same while facing beasts. If he was fighting during the day, he would be sure to pick and choose his opponents. Although suddenly, Quinn's body started to feel a strange sensation. It was a similar feeling to when he consumed blood, only a tad different. His eyes started to glow once again. A strange power was surging through his body. What the hell is happening? Quinn thought. Hey, are you okay? Logan said. Do you need me to go get a doctor or something? As Logan stood in front of Quinn, he could see the color in his eyes change, and even Logan stepped back a bit. At the same time, little metallic bugs started to come over and built a metallic suit of their own over his body. Eventually, the bugs had completely formed a metallic suit that looked like that of a small mech suit, only without all the clunky parts and more in line with the shape of a human. These were all precautions that Logan took just in case Quinn was to go out of control. But then, the feeling died down and his eyes returned to normal, but a message had appeared. A family member has grown stronger.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.